So, the game I want to talk about is called One Last Journey. A cute little jump and run that has dropped into the Steam store recently. To be completely honest about it, I became aware of this game through Memoria's last video, where she played a few games that were released that particular day on Steam. And you see, I like the colors and the assets looked fine, but nothing special up to here. Until I saw this. So, is this a Celeste clone? For those of you that don't know, likely all of you, because this is my first video, I played a tiny bit of Celeste. But that doesn't matter right now. What matters is that it ignited a love for 2D platformers for me again. So when I saw this opportunity to relive the glory days of early Celeste, I bought that up like a kebab for $3.50. Anyway, remember when I called the game little? That was literal. I got the first playthrough in precisely 107 minutes, while racking in 12 of the 13 achievements, without looking at them first. So which one did I miss? Oh, the speedrun one, okay. The game costs €5, which for basically 2 hours of entertainment is not half bad. God knows you don't go to cinema for that numbers anymore. So I wanted to review the game together with you, and let's start with the story. Spoilers for the whole game though, throughout the entire video. So this is a bit like Christmas in a vegetarian household. Not a lot of meat here. We're starting as we see a pink blob traversing the sky alone, while we listen to a discussion that we can't really order in right now. But we get that it is an argument of a couple, and it ends with the man going for a motorbike ride in a storm, which I actually found a little bit peculiar, because the woman we play for the first half of the game does not look like someone that lived at a time where motorcycles existed. Doesn't matter. As you enter the land of the dead that can't move on because of unintended business, pretty much purgatory, you encounter lost souls, get to a city of them, and then realize that a big meanie head is going around. Bada bing, we're actually switching to him now. As we start our playtime with the husband, we have the first scene in the game that I would actually call beautiful. As we see the damned souls in the background marching forward in what we think of as a cutscene at first, it is slowly revealed that one of the damned is more prevalent in the scene, and that we can control him, walking forward towards faint visions of his deceased wife and onto a ledge. He is alerted to her presence, snaps out of his misery, and takes agency again. And I actually really like this scene. The same as the protagonist in this moment, we don't realize at first that we have agency in this situation. We think that we are one of those hundreds of damned souls, and as we realize that we can control the character, that he also can take control of himself again. Which is nice. So, nice touch. I like that. Give it a good 20 minutes and we switch back to our female protagonist. Walk right into a trap and get white knighted by our dear husband. Milady. One boss fight later, our characters are together again and can move on in the afterlife. Everything is nice, champagne for everyone. Champagne for everyone! As you can see, like looking at a returning buffalo hunting group in the late 19th century, there's really not a lot of meat here. And I think that's fine. Video games take longer to tell a competent story, and that has always been like that. Not only is writing a competent story hard to begin with, but really cutting it in the right spots and sprinkle tidbits of information to make a satisfying gameplay storytelling loop is not an easy feat to achieve, especially in a game that's barely 2 hours of content. I would much rather have a serviceable story like this that can be communicated to me with roughly 50 5-line text boxes than being shit all over with unwanted or unneeded information. It's quaint, it gets the job done, I like it. 5 out of 10. But within the story there are side characters, which we meet along our path, and I would like to discuss them with you. The first person we meet is also the one we see the most often. He's a recurring character that appears 3 times in total. He has an in-game name which I already forgot. I called him Dr. Jones, and you see why I did it. In the scenes he's in, he basically says, "I don't trust this place" twice, and dies in the third one. And there's really nothing else to tell you about him. So let's go over to Greg and Michael. I love these two, they are funny. Greg was too scared to accompany Michael in the sewers, and Michael finding traversing the sewers too difficult, wishing to be back at Greg's. Although very basic, all they do is say 1 line each, this does a lot of heavy lifting for this world to feel lived in. Because now we know that there are stories happening around us that we are not even treated with a lot of information about, because they rightfully don't concern us. But from these 2 lines we can actually deduce some things. Greg and Michael know each other, they have developed a friendship-like bond, had a falling out, and are now regretful of their choices. They fit actually quite nicely into the scene and give us a little bit of ambiance. The city folk. Once you enter the lost city, you meet its residents. Like the mayor that tells you that the city indeed was once a city and now has been ruined. You also learn that there was a big bad guy that was going to attack the city, but our dear husband stopped him at some point. Wait, if our husband stopped the big meanie from clobbering the city, why is everything so run down anyway? Oh, it's people, okay. You sure your people just don't like cleaning that much? Okay. Then there's somebody that doesn't want to talk to us, which I like, best character so far, /S. Someone who cries us a sob story that I already forgot, but does help to make this all feel a bit more lived in and fits in the tone of the characters. And that was all of them. Side character, 6 out of 10, some made me laugh. And now I believe we have actually reached the most important point of the review. I didn't expect a great story, I didn't came for a great story. I came for a game that just feels nice to jump around in, have a bit of a challenge, and just enjoy yourself. So the mechanics and feel are the most important part. And I wanted to go through the mechanics one by one. Let's start with jumping. The jumping feels good, which is nice because that's the main thing you'll be doing. You can control the height of your character by how long you press A. This feels intuitive as it's already known from many other games, but here it's rarely used. Normally you want to cover as much distance with every jump as you can, so I tended to just keep A pressed until I needed to press again. Why would I need to press it again? You have a double jump. Double jump gives you a complete second jump with no bells or whistles, which is good. I like that. I really hate it when jump and runs have 2 different distances for their second jump. I think that makes everything confusing. I like it how it is here. Sometimes the collision is a bit off, so you lag a bit on the platforms you were jumping on, but this happens so infrequently that I don't even remove points for it. You can make an edge jump when sliding on a wall. These things get you one hell of a momentum, letting you cross at least 1.5 times the distance of a normal jump. I don't know if this is really intended behavior, because through it I managed to glitch out sometimes and get out of bounds and jump above the map and yada yada yada, but all in all a fun little quirk. So everything concerning jumping, 7.5 out of 10, solid implementation, like it. So let's talk about dashing. You see in Celeste you have 8 directions to dash in, vertically, horizontally and the diagonals. Whichever is the closest where you point your analog stick, your dash points to that direction. Here it is different. The dash takes the raw value of your analog stick, and that is where you're dashing. I have a bit of mixed feelings about that. So usually people don't make an intuitive right angle when pressing their thumb to the left or right, which makes horizontal dashes always a bit off. This makes these encounters, as shown, a bit more challenging. However, with top and down, it is completely different, as I intuitively jump right up when I want to get up somewhere, which would be fine, but since I don't get my normal direction controls back after a few milliseconds after a dash, it is really hard to land on some edges, because you just fall away from the edge again. So what I'm trying to say here is I'm doing the straight ones crooked and the angled ones straight. But you know what? I would also consider that a me problem. It is overall a very fun mechanic to be able to dash anywhere you want, and since it's deterministic it can be mastered, and therefore I like it. I didn't came here for an easy game. I didn't came for a game that caters to my specific needs. I want to have to learn something new in the game, and this was something I had actually fun learning and practicing, and is overall one of the best parts of the game. So dashes 8 out of 10. With our dear old husband character, you can make a shadow clone of yourself, to which you then can teleport again. This is hands down one of the most creative mechanics in the game. While nowhere a new mechanic, it brings a lot of fun passages into it. Like this one where you're on a moving track and always need a shadow clone of yourself on it so that you can wait for it to traverse obstacles and go back. I liked it, it was fun. On a different note, I don't think the devs realized how strong this ability actually is. Like these weird stone thingies that I'm showing you here, get introduced and I bolted right past them, because I could glitch my way through the levels. However, I didn't even know that I was glitching. Only like 3 rooms later I understood that those were actually switches that affect stuff in the level. So why is this so OP? See, you keep your shadow clones as long as they are visible on screen even if you die. Meaning, dashing up, spawning a shadow clone, landing to refill the dash, teleporting, dashing straight up, landing back again to refill your dash, and redo that over and over gives you basically the ability to traverse every uninterrupted path, no matter the length, in all directions. Because remember, we can dash in all directions. Needlessly OP, still hella fun, 8 out of 10. Spikes! There are spikes that kill you! The hitbox is kind of bullshit! I attached a diagram of a hitbox situation that results in death, which I believe counts as a war crime. That's all, nothing more about the spikes, they don't even get pointed. Enemies! So, the game now wants to be Hollow Knight. Even the end boss is called Hollow. But we talk about him when it's his time. In general, I think the fights are a real net negative and the game would have greatly benefited if they were not included. All the time and energy that was put into the fights could have easily been a few more jump and run passages, which actually felt good. But why, you might ask, don't I like the fights? They're tedious and not very well implemented. So to talk about the feelings directly. Your sword has the tiniest little swing span. I don't know if that's a problem because I'm playing this in 4K, but the swing is effectively a millimeter wide on my screen. Which is especially bad when combining this with the fact that every touch of an enemy costs you one of your 3 lives. Meaning you need to be extremely close while not touching, which makes it difficult. But difficult is not that bad. I fell in love with Celeste because it's difficult, and I already praised this game for having something difficult for me to learn. So why didn't this click? You see, there is exactly one type of enemy that does exactly one time of attack, always in the same frequency. They prepare for an attack with a little animation, then they dash towards you and they make a hit. After which they stand still long enough for you to get a hit in, and then you need to bounce back. You also need 3 hits to take them down. So far so good. Problematic is the amount of them. The first time you battle these things, you need to kill 5 in a row, which means sitting there for 3 minutes straight, doing a very precise attack, then doing the same dodge over and over again, and when you die, and you will, because you came too close to the enemy, you have to do it again, and again, and again, and again. The in total 3 fights that are in the game took me 30 minutes in my first run, which I have to admit was a lot shorter time when I have played through the game a second time, because I needed to record it again. And I do believe that this is a fallacy that occurs when there is little to no playtesting. Because, you know, as a developer, you test the things you program. You program something in and then you test it. And some things need to be tested a lot to get the feeling right. So you change a little bit of things, you test it again, you change a little bit of things, you test again. And what can easily be forgotten is that in the time that you test the things, you're actually still learning them. You're actually still getting better. So in this process, you kind of lose your perspective how it really feels to encounter these things for the first time. Fighting the standard enemies, 1 out of 10, not enjoyable. The boss. The boss is in general competent. He has 3 phases that were quite fun. One where you need to dodge hands coming out of the ground. I really liked that one, that was the fun one because it keeps you on your toes. One where you have to dodge a ball. And the last where you have to dodge 2 balls. I mean, that is the last phase of the boss, your grand finale. I mean, okay. Despite that, I think that maybe the last phase of the boss could have been a little bit more inspired. It still is a fun boss. It's not tedious, it makes good use of your abilities, although I kind of wish that the shadow ability would have come back here, but it's a simple and charming way to end it. It feels overall good. So, let's conclusion this. Did the game reignite the same passion and love that Celeste gave me? No, not even close. For the size and quality of the game, I even think that the €5 price cap is a bit much. 2 to 3 euros would be more fair, I believe. However, there are sprouts of good things sprinkled in nearly everywhere. And I do believe that if the dev teams continue to learn, continue to do more projects, utilize test players and their feedbacks, I believe they could and can make really fun and entertaining games in the future. We should all not forget that making a game is hard. I've tried it multiple times and I've not finished a single one. So just having done a concept, put it together and then got it to a playable version is more than I managed so far. So if I have to give this game a score, I would say, in the scheme of all games, it's a 4 out of 10. Factoring in the fact that it is one programmer and one guy that did the art, I would actually give it a 7 to 8 out of 10. It sufficiently entertained me for like 60 minutes and made me quite angry for about 20. And with that, I want to release you back to your responsibilities in your real life, dear viewer. I thank you very much for watching and I hope to see you again. Bye!